Australia today is a country where life is fairly easy and comfort and luxury are commonplace. So it's hard for us to imagine that only 70, 80 years ago, life was very different. Much of Australia was still unsettled, with parts undiscovered by the exploring pioneers. Life in the outback meant real hardship. Yes, some of the things that you and I now take for granted were only dreams then. Let's glimpse into the past through the eyes of Australia's film pioneers. Early this century, most people were closer to nature than we are. A bump in the night is a bedtime fright, a bunyip out for a feed, or a snarling beast with razor teeth from the river next to the shed. But who can tell till the light's turned on and the fiendish dread is nothing more than a possum out for fun. There were good times which everybody enjoyed, but there were bad times too. The skies dried up and the grass dried out. Then the roaring flames began. Raging infernos scoured the land. Every man for himself was the cry as they thrashed and beat at the fire. But the flames always licked them. The smoke and the heat and the dust filled their chests, and their hearts were filled with despair. From broken hearts to breaking backs, they started all over again. But the sweat and the toil paid off in the end, and fortune smiled once more. A horse could be bought to lighten the load, but they have minds of their own. Treat them rough, and they'll soon let you know where the horse and the cart and you can go. Horse-drawn carriages were soon replaced by a new invention, the motorized four-wheeled cart. There were places they could go and places they couldn't. But the places they couldn't were the places they were needed most. Despite the problems, the explorers of the early 1900s placed their faith in the spindly-wheeled trucks and set off on adventures to open up the unknown country. There was a lesson to learn that our Dreamtime friends understood. There's no way you can paddle a 2-ton truck when it's up to its knees in mud. They would wallow for 3 days on end until the rescue party arrived. All the stamping and struggling, hee-haws and snorts just weren't enough to drag the trucks from the bog. It was an uphill battle trying to conquer this obstinate land. But peculiar beasts with sprawling feet took the problems in their stride. Camels could carry explorers and heavy burdens tirelessly for days and days. They seldom drank, so water supplies were conserved, and their big, flat feet were ideal for the soft, hot sands and the rough, stony ground of the Australian outback. Originally, the camels were brought from the Middle East, a country very much like the center of our own. This is where our story begins. It's about an expedition based on the actual journeys of explorers who tramped across the burning sands of Australia early this century. And it's about a boy from Bustan.
Up on the peaks where the eucalyptus grows, or the deserts of the west where the townsman never goes. If the rivers ain't in flood, they'll be choking on the dust. If a Joe Blake doesn't get them, then the sand flies must. Walk through the outback, walk, walk, walk. Too tired to sleep and too dry to talk. The legend of their struggle goes ringing down the years. We won't forget the story of the early pioneers. We won't forget the story of the battlers of Australia, sons and daughters of the soil. They opened up the country with sweat and tears and toil. At night around the campfire you can hear the oldies say, we worked to make this nation the place it is today. Walk through the outback, walk, walk, walk. Too tired to sleep and too dry to talk. The legend of this struggle goes ringing down the years. We won't forget, we won't forget, we won't forget, we won't forget, we won't forget the story of the early pioneers.